Hello and welcome to the Justin Hamilton podcast. On today's episode, we are continuing our watch of season 5 of The Bear. It's the final season, and we are continuing a long tradition here at the Justin Hamilton podcast where we watch one episode a day and we reflect upon it and we talk about where the story is going and we unpack the themes and we just have a really good time trying to stretch out our time with our favorite chefs. We're up to episode 5. We're getting right into the home stretch. This episode is called Raspberries. I have a bunch of notes to share with you, and I thought let's just start by saying this one's for the women. I feel like this is an episode that is all about how the women in The Bear have always been emotionally more intelligent and often, victims of the toxic masculinity that surrounds a lot of the characters, even when they're essentially decent people, they still have these attributes that are not the best that you want to be having to deal with. Now, I know we can take into account Donna here, who is in her own way, very much a cause of a lot of the problems with some of our favorite characters. But for the most part, people like Sugar, Sydney, who else am I thinking of? Tina, of course. Oh, Tina. God, I love you, Tina. Jess, all of them are so much better at just, really dealing with things. And even when we meet Crazy Mary, uh, she's much savvier than her moniker suggests, and she also just doesn't want to put up with any bullshit, and I respected all of that. We'll get into the characters, etc. One of the things that I'm always confused by with The Bear is that people get a little bit frustrated when they think the story's not moving forward, and this is an episode where you think all they did was talk, but The Bear has always been character driven. It's about the characters and it's about their relationships to one another, and everyone is good and bad. Even that's a little bit too black and white, but everyone's complicated, and their complications arise, and watching who is being driven by their worst attributes and seeing those who are able to put them to one side and move forward. That's what's interesting to me, and I really love this episode because we know things are going to get crazy, we know things are going to get manic, and that's fine. I want to see these characters sharing moments. You got to remember how the Tina and Sydney relationship began all the way back in season 1, and to see Sydney essentially give Tina a step up and a new title, and kind of remind her she's already been doing this job, and the two of them having bonded. I like that. I want to see that. This is what I want to see between these characters. So that scene alone was enough for me to really, really dig this episode. You know, look, there's some things you can ding if you want. Sugar getting the phone call from Donna, who, let's be honest, we know that Donna has a history of essentially driving everyone crazy, but she's doing a really good job with a grandchild. And when she makes the call and Sugar insists that she comes into the restaurant, eh, would would a mother do that in that rain, in that scenario? I'm not entirely sure, but you know what? As I said in the previous podcast, I'm not watching this for a documentary. If this brings Donna to the restaurant and allows us to have a finale with all the characters present, I'm fine. I know what you're doing. I don't quite buy that would happen, but at the same time, I'm fine with it. I'm absolutely fine with it because this is the final season, and if I get some character beats that allow people to find a bit of peace with Donna and themselves before this series ends, I want that. So good on you. Let's do it. I'm fine with it. What's happened to the ceiling? Have they plugged that up enough? It's fine. I just kind of figure it's dealt with. There's other things to deal with, and if we can move on to character beats, then I'm completely comfortable with that. So, I'm sure they're breaking all sorts of laws, and there's probably all sorts of if health and safety came in, they'd get dinged. But it's also a storm, and none of those people are coming in. So fuck it, I'm fine. Um, what should we go into? So, you know, one of the minor characters that I have had a real love for is Pete. And Pete's played as the the daggy husband of Sugar, and everyone kind of makes fun of him. And I just love Pete, and I'll tell you the moment that really galvanized my affection for this character is when the restaurant opened and Donna turned up and he stood outside with her and he just listened to her. One of the reasons I think the men in this show hang shit on Pete is because he's a good guy and he actually doesn't have those toxic masculinity traits that a lot of the other men have, and they perceive it as weakness. Now, he's a bit goofy and he's naive, but when Sydney very funnily plays, hey, I really need help. He just sort of says, bolognese sauce. Yep, I'm good to go. And then when he gets drawn into the machinations of computer and cheese and uncle and all of them, and they go and see Crazy Mary and they speak to her, um, he's the one who encapsulates everything that is good, bad, and worth fighting for about the restaurant. He's the one who's making progress. Now, everyone underestimates Mary. They forget that she is not just a crazy woman, she is just a person. And she sees that she can make some money. Whoever Raymond is, I once again, I haven't done a huge amount of research because I want to watch this and give you these raw emotions of and experiences of watching the episode. But whoever Raymond is, he sounds like a character, and he brings out the worst in the men and their inability to just shut the fuck up and let Pete do his job is where all of that falls apart. I actually believe that if she had asked for uh, an amount of money that was exorbitant. I actually believe in that moment, I think Pete could have done his job and talked her around. But the rest of them, and you know what? I got to be honest. I reckon Cheese has some fucking toxic masculinity about her as well. And not surprising if you're hanging out with computer all the time. Yeah, you probably got some bad traits like. Like I know Pete makes a goofy joke about Wisconsin, and if anyone knows anything about America, the Green Bay Packers and the Cheeseheads, etc. But she's quite rude to Pete, who also just constantly has people being rude to him, and he just moves on with his life. So once again, that is an incredible sign that these men no, even if they're stressed, and we understand why they're stressed, that they need to grow up, And all that language is funny, but maybe people just need to absolutely breathe and recognize that people around them are doing a much better job, which is what Pete was doing at that point. We see Richie create a what was it a board or what would you call it? Anyway, he puts together a big sign that'll help everyone be able to work out where they have to be and how things work. And it's, you know, one of the reasons Richie and Kami are or butting heads on a regular basis is that they actually share quite a few traits, and it kind of goes back to Kami's ridiculous non-negotiables. And just bringing Tina in with the board to sort things out is it's a smart move. It's a very smart move. Nice to see the facts actually have a good moment with Gary where their lack of guile and their simplicity really help remind him that he's very good at his job and imbue him with confidence to work out what he's doing with the wines. Um, Extremely disappointing after the conversation that Kami had with Marcus to see Marcus take on some of the worst traits of the men around him. The way he treats Luca is not his best moment, and also, his old friend Chester, who, you know, Chester's needy. He's extremely needy, but asking him to it's almost like he's channeling Kami. It's like he missed the point of what Kami was saying, and he's decided we're going to add raspberries, and you need to go and get them, even though you've already brought something in for us, and you have to go back out there and then the way he's treating Luca, and Luca takes a moment and goes back and it's obvious it's getting closer to opening time and his father's coming in. So I actually believe this as a character beat. I know it's out of character for Marcus, but this is a father that he doesn't really know that he's also trying to impress in the wake of the death of his mother. And you know well, I'm guessing we will have a moment of reconciliation between the two of them. I did enjoy Luca and Marcus arguing, and Chester going, "Whoa, are you arguing over me?" I thought that was cute. Chester, no matter what's happening, always just a little bit needy. But yeah, when Luca tries to make amends and Marcus is still on edge, that is it's a disappointing moment from Marcus. But I love the character. It's just a disappointing moment. We're all disappointing at certain points in our lives, some more than others, on a regular basis, especially it appears if you work in the entertainment industry and you're in Australia and you're in your early 50s. Anyway, where did that little jab come from? It's playing on my mind quite a bit. You've listened to the Dave Anthony episode, haven't you? Yeah, you know where I'm coming from. Anyway, uh, um, on the flip side, I really enjoy that moment with Luca and Sydney. Luca talking about the restaurant that he worked in, and the owner just not wanting to let go, and him going around as they're losing everything, and him going around saying goodbye to all of his staff and saying goodbye to his appliances, and kind of realizing that nobody said goodbye to him. What a sad story, but it does get a really nice moment where he says to Sydney, "I don't think anyone would leave without saying goodbye to you." I always kind of hoped, like I'm not really one for shipping characters, but I always kind of wondered if there was a little Luca Sydney thing going. I would not be. I don't think it's that kind of show, but if something had kind of happened there, I would not be against it. Saying goodbye to the appliances is interesting because, we talk about that. We have that moment with that story. And a little bit later, we have Richie going through his ritual of trying to take his anxiety away. And he's touching items and saying what they are, animate objects, inanimate objects, and then what actually soothes him. It's not touching a chair and naming it and a vest and an iPad and all of that shit. It's human contact. This is the theme of the bear. It's about the people. It's about connecting with people. It's forgetting the bullshit that surrounds everyday life. And it doesn't matter what your life is. Work in a restaurant, work in an office, you're a barista, you're a lawyer, whatever you do in life, it's about human connection. And we see a physical manifestation of that with these characters touching and holding hands, and that little chuckle that Richie gives is such a nice moment for a character that we've seen go through the ringer. The the sadness of the breakup of his marriage to Tiff, and also, you know, the worst attributes about Richie is he perceived that as as a failures of a man and a father and a husband, and sometimes life just happens. And we saw not that long ago in the episode Gary, where that was a real episode of terrible, terrible relationships between two men who deep down love each other very much and being incapable of expressing it and showing vulnerability. That little laugh is a little moment of vulnerability. And then the moment he shares with Sydney is also extremely cute. And then them deciding not to tell Kami was very funny. So all of that hit me in the feels, and I really love that. Um, Oh, by the way, just something that I noticed. We've had a bit of Pearl Jam in the past with this show, and I have to say I'm loving the Hans Zimmer music. I'm a fan, and it feels appropriate for this show. Crazy Mary is a song that Pearl Jam often cover. It's a Vanessa Wilson song originally, if I'm correct, and it's a beautiful song that they do an incredible job of covering. So I I'm just throwing that out there. As soon as I heard Crazy Mary, I meant to mention it in the last episode. I was like, oh, I wonder if that's a reference to the Pearl Jam cover. Um, yes. Is there anything else that we need to cover with this? Kami talking up Neil was a nice moment and funny. Like it just made me laugh when Neil nails everything and then Kami walks off and then Neil goes to walk the wrong way. Like no matter what happens with the fact, even when they get it right, they just kind of fuck it up a little bit. So that made me laugh. Um, yes, I think that's all we really need to cover in this episode. It's a calm before the storm while the storm is happening all around them. So that is a nice ironic juxtaposition. We finish the episode with people turning up, and it's time to get to work. And I'm loving the season. I'm once again, even the mild misgivings I have with season 3 and season 4 are only in contrast with how perfect I find seasons 1 and 2. It was like I performed at the Comedy Store on the weekend. We did two shows on Saturday, 6:30 and 8:30. And 6:30 was one of the best gigs I've been a part of this year. Sold out show, crazy smart audience that was into the big jokes, into the small jokes, into the off the cuff remarks. They paid attention to such an extent that you could be quick, you could be slow, you could be large, you could be tiny. It gave me as a performer an opportunity to go into my bag of tricks and play and be present. And that show was unbelievable. And then we had the 8:30 show, and that audience was really good. It was a really good audience. And halfway through my opening, I just realized they weren't as good as the 6:30 audience, but they weren't bad. They were still really good. And Ethan, our techie, and I were talking afterwards. There was literally a moment halfway through my opening set where I took a breath and I looked at them and went, "You're a good audience." And it was like a reminder to me to not be disappointed that they weren't the 6:30 audience because they were still really good. And when I went out the back and I said to all the comedians, just a heads up, this audience is really good. Go out there. Don't get thrown by the fact that you may say the exact same routine and it might not pop like it did in the first show. But that's because the first show was immaculate. And this show is really good. And that to me kind of sums up 3 and 4 of The Bear, where they were still really good and they still did some amazing things. And this season is powering along at a really good rate. I'm really loving it. I'm laughing out loud quite a bit at moments. Like when I saw Richie's board, I laughed out loud, and That's a rare thing that you do when you're by yourself. Often you kind of, you know what it's like. You kind of sit there and you might intellectualize it. You sort of say, that's funny, but you don't laugh. And I'm still laughing. I still feel emotional when I see beautiful interactions between characters that I think have been uh, perfectly written and are just well directed and, inhabited by excellent actors. And I'm just into this, and we're powering along. There's 3 episodes to go, and yeah, I think it's going to be emotional. And you know what? I'm up for that. I'm really up for it. And as I said to you at the beginning of this little mini season, at the end of last season, I thought, oh, well, this will be the end of the series. And I geared myself up for it. And then I was like, oh, are they coming back for another season? And the first reaction I had was that I was wrapped. And I wanted to spend more time with these crazy arseholes, with their flaws and their mistakes, and but also their growth. One of the things that everyone is kind of realizing at a moment is that even though it has been a world of anxiety, every single one of them is better at their job. Like from where they started to where they are now, they're not just better, they're really good. And it is we talk about the flaws and the mistakes that Kami made, but none of them are better without this as well. Could he have done it better? Absolutely. But they are better. And they're here now, and we're going to see all of their skills come to the fore in these final few episodes. Okay, that brings me to the end of the podcast. I will be back tomorrow with episode 6. Is it 6? What are we up to? Yes, episode 6. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Just a couple of things. If you would like to give us a top review on whichever platform you listen to, that would be lovely. We do whatever we can to beat the algorithm. And if you have time to give us a top review and write something nice, that would be lovely. If you would like to support this podcast financially, you can do so through Patreon for as little as $5 a month. All the money made through Patreon literally goes back into the maintenance of this podcast, the production, the subscriptions, all of that. So you are literally investing in what is being made. As always, you can listen to this on whichever platform you're listening to, but you can also watch this on my YouTube page, which also has some live stand-up specials that I filmed at the Rhino Room in Adelaide, and I'm pretty happy with them. I think if you're a fan of what's going on here, I think you'll enjoy those stand-up shows as well. Okay, I'm going to get going, and I look forward to touching base with you tomorrow. Thank you to everyone who is joining in on the day-to-day watch and listen. I'm loving all your comments. Feel free to write to me at justinhamiltonpodcast@gmail.com, and yeah, share your thoughts. It'd be nice to hear them. We're going to do when we finish this, the next episode I'm going to record is going to be with Mulk, and we're going to do the Widow's Bay finale, and we're going to do the finale. We're going to talk about the bear as a whole. So send in your thoughts, and I'll share them with Mulk. So that's at justinhamiltonpodcast@gmail. So it would be lovely to hear from you. Okay, that was a long goodbye, wasn't it? I'll let you go now, dear.